Okay guys, welcome to my channel. This is Arnel Aranquez, a former IT instructor, and now I am currently a software developer from Southern Philippines Medical Center. In this video tutorial, we'll be discussing the basic CRUD operations of MySQL using C# WinForms. Okay, but before that, please do subscribe into my channel, Code Eater TV, and then click the notification bell so that you could be notified for my future video tutorial. Okay, let's start. So what are the requirements or what are the things that we need for this video tutorial? Of course, we need to have a prior knowledge in MySQL and C# programming language. Okay, the softwares that we'll be using will be Visual Studio, MySQL Server, MySQL Workbench, and then MySQL Connector. Okay, if you don't have your MySQL Server and MySQL Workbench, you can download that one. There, I already put the uh, link. Then the MySQL connector, I will be explaining to you how to install the MySQL connector later on. Okay, so let's start. How does it work? So of course, we need to have a MySQL database and your desktop application. Okay, now the first thing that we need to do is to establish a connection between your MySQL server and then to your desktop application, or the other way around, from your desktop application to your uh, MySQL server. Okay, so how do we establish a connection? Of course, we need to set the 5 things: the server's IP address, the username, the password, then the port number, and then the database name. Okay, the username and the password pertains to a certain account from your MySQL server. Then the port number by default will be 3306. Of course, it could change it depends on your MySQL server's settings, then your database. Okay, so the server's IP address, it could be like 192.168.1.1, but if your desktop application works on the local area network, and then also the server resides on inside your local area network, you can just call, or you can set localhost. Okay, so after establishing a connection, then that's the time we can create or can give instructions from your desktop application to your MySQL database. Okay, of course, you can insert, update, delete, and select uh, into your MySQL database. Okay, so how do we fetch data from MySQL database? What are the things that we need in fetching data from MySQL database? Okay, we need to use the MySQL command, MySQL adapter, MySQL connection, and then the data table. Okay, so what are the relationships between the four? So you have a desktop application, you have your MySQL database. Of course, we need to set a connection. Okay, that's the first thing that we need to do. So that's the work, basically that's the work of the MySQL connection. Okay, in your MySQL connection, that's where we will set our host, username, password, the port number, and then the database. Okay, now after establishing a connection between your desktop application and your MySQL database, then that's the time we can give or send instructions. Okay, the one that will send instructions from your desktop application to your database will be your MySQL adapter. Okay, your MySQL adapter will serve as the worker. Okay, it will be the one to interact between your desktop application and your MySQL database. Now, your MySQL adapter needs instructions. Okay, that uh, that will be sent into your MySQL database. And that connection, or that MySQL adapter, that command, that instructions will be from the your MySQL command. Under your MySQL command, it is where we will put our query. Okay, your insert, update, delete, and whatever queries you want. Okay, now the MySQL command needs a connection. Okay, so that's where That's why we need a MySQL connection. Of course, the MySQL connection will be the one who holds the established connection between your desktop application and your MySQL database. Okay, so remember the relationship between the three first. Okay, your MySQL adapter needs your MySQL command. Your MySQL command needs your MySQL connection. Okay, after having that tree, so since we have a worker that will send the instructions and we already have the instructions that will be sent, and then we already have a connection that will serve as the link between your desktop application and your MySQL database, then the next thing that we need to have is our data table. Now, what is the work of our data table? Okay, after the MySQL adapter get or fetch the data from your database, then the data table will serve as the container that holds all those data from your database. Okay, that your MySQL adapter fetched. Okay, so that's basically the work of the data table. So after fetching the data, we need to put it in the data table, and then the data table will serve as the data source of your controls from your uh, desktop application. It could be a text box, a combo box, a data grid, or and so on and so forth. Okay, so of course, if we will insert, update, or delete, all we need is MySQL command, MySQL adapter, and then the MySQL connection. Okay, so there's no need for you to use a data table because we are not fetching a data. Before we begin, this is the way how we will install our MySQL connector. Of course, we need to create our project. After creating our project, we need to go to Tools, Nugget, Package Manager, and then the Nugget package for solution. Then after that, there's a window that will be open. You need to click the Browse, type mysql.data, then select the mysql.data. Then after that, click the install button. Then the Visual Studio will install the mysql.data connector into your project. Then that's the time we can start creating our desktop applications that could uh, connect into your MySQL database. Okay, so let's start. I already created a form uh, for this video tutorial. So we have here our main form, and then we can add, edit, delete, and so on. Okay, so first thing that we can do now is to fetch data and then display those informations into our interface. Okay, so we can use this combo box, uh, fetch the user's information, user's full name, and then display all the user's full name here. And then after that, whatever user's full name that the user will select, we can display other informations of that user into this panel, like the username, the password, and then the user type. Okay. I already created a two uh, method for that, the display user info and then the fill user combo box. Okay, the fill user combo box method will be the one to fetch the data, the user's full name, and then display the user's full name into the combo box. Then the display user info will be the one to display other informations into our panel. Okay, so let's start first with our user fill combo box. Okay, so again, what are the steps? We need to create a connection, a MySQL command, a MySQL adapter, and then data table. Okay, so first we need to create our MySQL connection. Okay, the first thing that we need to do in creating a MySQL connection is to create our connection string. Okay, so we have const string. Under the const string, we need to set the host. Okay, the username, the password, and then the port number, and then the last thing is our database. Okay, For this example, we'll just using the localhost, the username. Let's just use the default root account, and then the default root password ROOTTOR, and then the port number 3306, then the database. Okay, so we have our connection string. Then we create our MySQL connection. Just call it con. So new MySQL connection. Then we'll put our connection string into our MySQL connection. Then let's open our connection. Okay, so we're done with our MySQL connection. Then the next thing is we need to set our MySQL command. Okay, MySQL command. Let's just call it command. MySQL command. Then again, the MySQL command needs a MySQL connection. So command dot connection will be the con. Then command dot command text. Okay, so we have our connection. The next thing that we will do is we will set the query for our MySQL command. Okay, so since we are just fetching the user's full name, so we have select full name from inventory. Okay, then after that we will get set our MySQL adapter. Of course, MySQL adapter. Again, our adapter needs our MySQL command. So adapter dot select command will be equals to set command. Again, the relationship between the three, the MySQL adapter needs the MySQL command, and then the MySQL command needs the MySQL connection. Okay, so the MySQL connection, it is where we establish the connection between your desktop application and your MySQL server. It is where we put the host, the username, the password, and then the port number, and then the database. Okay, of course, the MySQL command, it is where we set our query, and then the MySQL adapter needs your command. Okay, so since we are fetching data, we are using the select command. Okay, if we will be inserting data, we will be calling the insert command, the update command, and so on. Okay, and delete command. Now, since we are fetching data, so we need a data table. So data table, let's just call it source. So let's do new data table. Okay, again, data table will serve as the bucket. Okay, it is where the MySQL adapter will put all the data that it fetched from your MySQL database. Okay, so to do that one, all we need to do is to call our adapter dot fill. Okay, let's fill the source, which is our data table. Then the source dot accept changes. Let's call the accept changes so that it will accept whatever data that the data source will the MySQL adapter put. Okay, so after that, you can use the data table as our data source for our combo box. Okay, we just set the value member, then the display member, then the data source will be the user combo box. Okay, let's try. So let's just call the user combo box in our main form. I already put there the code. So let's try. Okay, so as you can see here, we can now display the user's full name. Okay, the next thing that we'll do is to display other users' informations in the panel. To do that one, we can use this one, the display users information method. Of course, we need to have the for, so we can just copy paste our connection string. Then MySQL command, we can just copy the MySQL command. Then can just copy the MySQL adapter. Okay, then data table. The main difference here is that we are creating another query. Instead of just getting all the user's information, what we'll do is get the other's user information and then based on the user's selection. Okay, so to do that one, okay, we will modify our query. We added where here because what we need to do is to get other informations of the user based on the user's selection. So whatever the user select, it will be inserted in between the single quote, the two single quote, right? So for now, we'll be using a parameterized query. Since we are using a parameterized query, so we can have command text dot add dot parameters dot add with value. Okay, then let's just put here the name of our parameter, then user combo box dot text. How does a query work? Basically, we have a query and then we just replace some part of our query based on the value we specify in our parameter. Okay, so let's just have here. So instead of single quote, then we put the value here, like say for example, Arnel. Okay, instead of Arnel, we just remove this part of our query and then replace with the parameter name, which is at full name. Now, the at full name will be the parameter's name, which is here, and then whatever value of the user combo box text will be replaced by the at full name. Okay, the at full name will be replaced with the user combo box text. Okay, so like so for example, it will select Arneleo, then our query will look like select all from inventory user where full name equals Arnel. Okay, so that's the way how a parameterized query works. And by convention, okay, whatever the name of the column, basically that is our parameter's name, so that it could be easily be managed. Okay, so that's it. Then select and then we accept. So we have our MySQL command, our MySQL adapter, then our data table. Then after that, we can use the data table as the source of our informations that will be displayed into our panel. We get user's username, password, and the user type from our data table. Okay, that's the way how we fetch or get data from our data table. We set the rows, the row number, then the column name. So that's it. Basically, that's it. Okay, now why we put 0 here? 0 means it is the first row of our data table. Basically, we are expecting only one row for this because we specify what user's full name we are getting. So basically, that's it. So that's one row. So that's we have 0 here. Okay. So after that, we set the username's text box to the username variable, password text box to our password variable. Sorry. And then the username combo box selected index to the index of our user type variable. Let's just call the display info into our main form. Okay. Go to event, selected index, and let's call the display user info. Okay, so yon, Stella May, Arnel. Okay, now we've been able to fetch data and then display those data into our database. Then that's for now. It's time for us to add data into our database. Okay, so I already created a form for that. We have an add form. So basically what we'll do is if we click the add button, let's just call the add username, add user form, which is this one, and then it will be displayed. And then whatever data that we set here from our text box, this is a text box and this is a combo box. We click the add button, then let's just insert whatever data the user set here. Okay, so let's just click this add button. Same, set the MySQL connection, MySQL command, and then MySQL adapter. Okay, let's just copy and paste the connection. Okay, we have the MySQL connection, MySQL command, of course, MySQL command cmd equals to new MySQL command. Then we set the commands connection, command.connection is equals to con. Then commands query, so the command text. Okay, here we will be inserting, so we will put here the insert query. Okay, so basically it's the way how our insert query works, right? So we have insert into inventory the columns, then the corresponding value. Okay, basically what we'll do if we will execute this query into our MySQL is that it will insert a username, password, full name, value, and then the user type. Okay, but since we want to get whatever data that the user will type here, so we can just replace this username to the username's text box text, to the password to the password's text box, the full names to the full names text box, and then the user type to the user combo box text. Okay, so to do that one, we can again use a parameter to replace these four columns or four values. Okay, so we can have four parameters for that. Command dot parameters dot add with value. Okay, so let's just copy paste this one. So we have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so since we have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, again, by convention, for you to be able to have an easy management of your code, so whatever the column of that it represents, the parameter represents, we need to use the column name. Okay, so just like username, you can have the username, and then it will be the @username will be replaced with the username text box. So username text box dot text. Okay, so we can use this parameter to replace this piece of code. Okay, so again, what happened here if we will be using a parameterized query is that instead of the single quote here, the @username will be replaced with whatever value the user will type in the username text box. Okay, that's how parameter works. Basically, it is the cleanest way of inserting data into your database. Okay, so same. Instead of a password, okay, so we can create a parameter and name it @password, and it will be replaced with the password text box dot text. Okay, so we can use this parameter, uh, replace this one. Okay, and same with the username, the full name, and then the user type. Okay, that's full name, and then full name text box dot text, and then user type, then the user type combo box dot text. Okay, so let's just use, so replace this one with the parameter's name, same with this one. Okay, so we are using four parameters here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So @username, @password, @full name, @user type. That's the name of our parameter. Okay, so it will be replaced, like the @username will be replaced with the username's text box, the password will be replaced with the password text box, and then the full name, @full name will be replaced with the full name's text box, the text, and then the user type will be replaced with the user type combo box that text. Okay, so after creating our query, then that's the time we will create our data adapter. Okay, again, the MySQL data adapter needs your command. Okay, so adapter, since we are inserting, then we will set the insert command, then command. Okay, so since we are now inserting a data, then there's no need for us to use data table. So let's just call the adapter dot insert command dot execute non query. Okay, so this is the method that we'll be calling if we want to execute the MySQL command into our database. Okay, so let's try. Let's just put a prompt here, message box. Let's show new row added. Okay, then after that, the insert query will be executed, will be added into our database, and let's try if it works. Okay, click add. Let's just call Bijarn. Okay, username Seward, then a run case. Let's just call it a guest. Then add. Okay, new row added. Let's try. Let's just close, then run again our application. Okay, as you can see, if we select the Bijarn, display the username, the password, and then the user type. Okay, we added a new row into our database. Next, we'll be trying to edit the user's information. Okay, so click edit. We set the this one as editable, so we can have okay username text box dot read only equals to false. Username password text box dot read only equals to false. Then username password, and then the last one is the user type combo box. User type combo box dot enable equals to false. No, true. Rather, sorry. Okay, so by default, in our property, it should be read only. Okay, read only, and then this one should be enabled false. Okay, so if you try, okay, so there's no way you can select, change this value, but if you click the edit, then you can edit and you can change the user type. Okay, the next thing that we'll do is to create our update query inside the save buttons event, and then whatever changes that the user will do here will be reflected into our database. Okay, so let's just click this button, then create our MySQL connection. So let's just copy the connection. Okay, of course, again, you need to set your connection string. Under the connection string, you set the host, the username, the password, the port number, and then the database. Then, next thing that we'll do is we create our MySQL command. So, MySQL command, cmd equals to new MySQL command. Okay? MySQL command dot connection will be our connection. Then, we set our commands, command text. Okay? So, this is where we will put our update query. Okay? So, basically, this is what an update query looks like. Okay, update inventory, set username, password, user type, or full name. Okay, so I presume you already know how to create your MySQL query. Okay, again, for this one, we will be using a parameterized query. So we will be replacing this part, and this part, and this part to a parameterized part. Okay, so since we need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, no, 1, 2, 3, 4. Four parameters for this. So we can add 4 parameters. Command dot parameters dot add with value. Okay, so 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's just put semicolon for this. Okay, so 4. So first, we will replace this part. So username, the name at username, then username text box dot text, same. This one will be replaced. So with password text box dot text. Then this one user type. Okay, then the last one full name. Okay, so we have here our MySQL command. We set the connection, then we set the query, the command text. Okay, so since we are using a parameterized query, so this will be replaced with the @username parameter, and then this part will be replaced with the @password parameter. Then this part will be replaced with the user type parameter. Then the full name will be replaced with the full name parameter. Okay, so this is basically our query. So after that, we will be creating our MySQL data adapter. Okay, so our adapter needs our MySQL command. Since it is an update, so we will be setting the update command. Okay, after that, let's just call adapter.update command dot execute non-query. Okay, let's just have a message box that show. Okay, so what we have now is our update command, and we have an update query using a parameterized query. Then same, we have an adapter, then set the adapter's update command since it is an update query. Then call the execute non-query method so that the query or the MySQL command will be executed into your database. Okay, so let's try. Let's just edit Bayesian award. Let's just call it uh, edit, then the award, run case. Then let's just make it as admin. Then save. Data updated. So if we will rerun this one, uh, okay, we have Seward, run case admin. It changed. Okay, so pretty simple. Okay, that's the way how we can update. Then the last one, whatever selected user here, then if you click the delete button, it will be deleted. So just click this one. Okay, same process. We need to set the MySQL connection, set the MySQL command, then set the user MySQL adapter. Very easy. Okay, so let's just copy paste the MySQL connection. Okay, setting the MySQL connection, then create your MySQL command. Okay, cmd custom new MySQL command. Okay, so first thing that we need to do is to set the command's connection. Then after that, we need to set the command text. Okay. Now, in this part, you'll be creating our delete query. Okay. Basically, this is the way how a delete query looks like. Okay. Delete from inventory user where full name. Okay. So whatever full name, whatever data that we'll put in the single quote, if that full name is could be found in our database, then that row will be deleted. Okay, so again, we'll be using our parameterized query command that parameters that add with value. Okay, so let's just call it full name at full name, then user combo box dot text. Okay, so we will be using this full name parameter to replace the single quote. Okay, so whatever user selection in the user combo box, the at full name will be replaced. Okay, so like, so for example, Arne Leo, so the query will look like delete from inventory user where full name equals Arneleo. Okay, so pretty easy. Then after creating our MySQL command, then we will be creating our adapter. Okay, our adapter needs our command. So adapter that, since it is a delete command, so we will be setting the delete command equals to command. Then adapter dot delete command dot execute non-query. Pretty easy. Okay, then message box. Okay, so let's try if it works. Okay, again, I'll explain. We set the connection, we create the command, set the adapter, and then call the execute non-query command. Okay, let's try if it works. Let's just try to delete this one. Delete, row deleted. So if we will rerun the application, so the Bejansa word user was deleted. So basically that's it. That's the way how we create, insert, update, delete, and fetch data into your MySQL database using C# WinForms. So hope you learned something from me. Again, let's recap. The MySQL adapter needs MySQL command. The MySQL command needs your MySQL connection. Okay, so that's the relationship between the two, between the three. Okay, and then your MySQL adapter is your worker, the one that sends instructions from your desktop application to your database. MySQL command holds your MySQL query, and then the MySQL connection holds the connection between your desktop application and your MySQL server. Okay, that's it. This is Arnel Aranques. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys learned something. Bye.